Hello everyone, and welcome back to another light novel review. I am the Rat, and this is The Rat's Nest. Today, we're talking about a light novel that I just finished, that I really enjoyed it. The Reign of the Seven Spellblades, Volume 4. I guess it's not The Reign, it's just Reign of the Seven Spellblades, Volume 4. This, ladies and gentlemen, was a very good book. I've been kind of on a light novel slump recently. I just finished reading before this one, Berserk of Gluttony Volume 2. And this video is coming out after that one. So if you've seen that video, you know I didn't really care for that. It took me a couple months, not fully because of the book, also just schedule stuff. But I just never really had a drive to read it. And here we have a book that I read in 2 days. So I really enjoyed this book. It was good to get back to form. Reign of the Seven Spellblades has always been good. Bokuto Ono also wrote, if I'm remembering correctly, Alderman of the Sky, which I have unfortunately not had the opportunity to read. I hope one day a Yen Press or Seven Seas picks it up and translates it, because I loved the anime for it. I haven't read it. I watched the anime, and I loved the anime. And so I got into this series whenever I was like, okay, right. I watched Alderman of the Sky. I loved it. And it's the same author. And here he is writing a new series. And it's being translated over. I think there's an anime starting next season I'm going to be watching. I have not been disappointed with this series. This is a good series. And this was a great volume. So I think just a lot of it was, there were a couple different things that happened. It was good, right? So, starting off, we get kind of the little intro section. I really enjoyed all of it. Mainly getting to see Nano's kind of perspective on everything, right? With her and Oliver, where she's like, I probably do love him, but at the same time, I want to kill him. Or she wants to fight to the death, right? One way or the other. That was interesting. I think it's been a while since I read Volume 3 of this. So getting back into these characters was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate it. So few series do it, but to where you have the character list at the beginning. It's just like it's really nice, because it helped me remember some stuff. And so we also they've started their second year now. So that's fun, right? 3 volumes for a year. I think there's 7 years, so they started their second year. Starts off kind of okay. There's the new first years, the same little intro, scary speech. They all talk. We meet the little girl that is Oliver's supporter, right? His little follower, I think is a good word for it. And so she's officially come in now, because whenever we first met her, she wasn't yet in. Now she's officially in. She's officially a first year. And she was fun to see throughout this volume. I kind of expected to see a little bit more of her. Teresa, I think her name is. I kind of expected to see a little bit more of her, but I think we're going to be getting a lot of her next volume. And so she was fun to see, especially her interacting with Oliver's main group there. I really enjoyed getting to be reintroduced to all these characters. And just this entire volume was just a big treat. I think a big focus of this volume, which I was kind of surprised about, kind of caught me a little bit off guard, was all of the emphasis on the sexual side of being a mage. That was a lot of this book, starting off with the idea that, okay, your second years now, there's a lot of people who are going to try to court you, because they want to improve their own family standings or whatnot, specifically Nano and Pete. Funny Pete man, right? As if Oliver hasn't already rizzed up every single person in his group except for Guy. There was a lot of focus on that, obviously, with that first little bit where they literally have sex ed with their the little group there. I was like, okay, it's interesting, right? I can appreciate that there's a focus on that, right? Like, I wasn't expecting it. I'm fine with it. My favorite series, Mushoku Tensei, doesn't shy away from that kind of stuff either. And so, it acknowledging it and it being honest with it, I can really appreciate that. I think it's very mature for it to be able to handle it, and I think it's been handling it well and handling it pretty realistically. I like I said, it maybe caught me a tiny bit off guard initially whenever I read this, but after being like, okay, so this is where we're going, like, I really enjoyed it. I think that it was presented very realistically in a lot of ways. and just kind of all together, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I think it was handled very maturely. That you have the initial thing. You also have Oliver still suffering some of the effects from his fight with Ophelia. I did have to kind of look back. It's been a while since I read Volume 3. So I did have to kind of look back. So he was still under the effects of the powder or whatever, which, what you call it, a really up sex drive. And so then Michaela helped him out with that, which I was like, okay. Wasn't expecting that, right? But I still think that it was a good scene between the two. Again, I think that it was approached maturely, right? Showing that this is, relatively normal in this world. I enjoyed that bit of world building, and also the growth of Oliver and Michaela's Michelle, however you say that. Shella is her little nickname. Oliver and Shella. The growth of their relationship there, to where they kind of knew there was something there, but now there's really something there. Now, obviously, Oliver and Nano they're the couple, right? But Oliver has rizzed up everyone in this group, right? Shella, obviously, Pete, obviously, Katie, which I didn't even expect. Later that day, whenever he was helping her out, I was like, okay, yeah, there was little hints of it, but it was like, but Katie and Guy are the pairing, right? As you think of the guys in the group, Oliver, Guy, funny, and Pete. Well, Pete, obviously being reversey, Oliver rizzed him up, right? Oliver's rizzed up Nano. Just they're the couple, right? Shella, yeah, I mean that was pretty obvious beforehand, but then we just get the blatant confirmation of that, right? Which I kind of feel like I was like okay, it just kind of came out of nowhere almost. I don't want to say it came out of nowhere. I think that it was just me forgetting the stuff from Ophelia. I was like, okay, no, I get it, and I do like how it was handled. Katie was the one that I was surprised about, was that he rizzed up Katie. And so that whole section, I enjoyed the little shopping section. This is very Harry Potter kind of inspired-esque series. So to say this is kind of like the Hogsmeade part, kinda. I enjoyed their little tussle with the Featherston students. Again, like, okay, we've kind of seen, Katie being for the civil rights of the demi-humans or the magical creatures, right? But getting to see that there's an entire other magical school. Again, just more of that world building where, Kimberly isn't the only thing out there. But also, there's other stuff around, right? I enjoyed it, and to have an entire school kind of defined by that, I think that it makes sense. Because apparently this is a pretty big movement that's been going on in this little magical world, right? Against with the magical people. I think it makes sense for them to be a school. So I enjoyed that little bit of world building, the little fight. It was enjoyable. Maybe it came on a bit fast. Those guys were kind of stupid to try to fight Kimberly students, since everyone knows that they constantly have to face off against death. And it's like, okay. But again, I thought it was good. Then we get them leaving. Oliver rizzes up Katie. Cool, right? And then we get Shella's father coming and helping Nano and Oliver against the guy, right? And I really enjoyed this part. I thought that this was really cool, because I don't think we'd ever gotten confirmed that he had a Spellblade before. I know Nano has one. I'm 99% certain Oliver has one. I can't remember 100%. I'm gonna look back after this recording to make sure Oliver has one. I'm pretty certain that he does. But I don't think we'd ever gotten it confirmed that Thomas McFarlane had one. But just getting to see, Nano's fight against the Slasher, his little technique that he used was like, okay, that's interesting. And then also kind of that introduction, or maybe reintroduction to it. I didn't remember it. It could have been introduced in one of the first 3 books, of the little personal spatial zone. And then the immediate using that for Thomas's Spellblade, the second Spellblade. I was like, okay, that's really cool. And the whole introduction they gave it of there was this guy, he tried to oh yeah, I can make 2 of me. He does that, there's an explosion, right? That energy, and then it's yes, this always happens. There cannot be 2 of a person. It's against the rules of the universe. There cannot be 2. He's like, okay, well, what if you control that? And you do, and that's the second Spellblade. I assume that it's making your other self appear on the other side of someone, and then because that's more you. That's where you were supposed to be, as it's described. And so your quote-unquote main body, the lesser, goes towards the main. And so without even swinging or anything, it's a spell, and you get like atomized apparently, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I can't remember the specifics of Nano's. I can't remember the specific of Oliver's or his mom's or the others, but just kind of getting reintroduced to the Spellblades like this, at least for me, who hadn't. It's been a while since I've read books 1 through 3. It was really cool. It was really cool to get to see that and be like, oh yeah. No, there's going to be some very fun Spellblade fights later in the series. We're going down, and then obviously the final section there, where it's them, where Oliver meets with his little crew, right? Which I hope we learn more about, and hopefully in the next book we do. I think we will in book 5 at least learn a little bit more about them, as to who they are, why they're helping Oliver, that kind of thing. Because there's still a lot of mystery there. I want to know Gwen and Shannon, and kind of why are they helping him? I know they're like quote unquote related, but why specifically? Why is Teresa there? How did he get this influence? Who exactly was his mom? That kind of thing. I'm looking forward to learning more about them. When he meets with them, and he's like, "Okay, we're taking care of Enrico, the engineer guy, the mad old man, right?" And it's like, "Okay, cool. Book 4, we have a thing since he killed Darius relatively easily, honestly. Okay, we're going after another guy now." It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see. And then we get a little taste, right? We get to see the classes go up against 3 of his golems and kind of learn, okay, how do we take them down? How do these work? And just it's basically getting a taste for his abilities, and also kind of helping Oliver to get an idea for his abilities for what I assume is going to be the next book where they go and they kill him. I'm very much looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see. And it was a fun little fight against the golems. It was against the liquid golem, and then Pete coming in for the save on the little bomb in the center. It was good. I'm very much looking forward to like a more proper, because Darius was pretty easy, right? Oliver was able to pretty low diff him. I don't think he falls into no diff. It was a low diff. He was able to low diff him. It's like, okay, what is this group doing here? What's their purpose? I'm looking forward to seeing more of like what everyone else is doing in the group. It's like, okay, why is this a group? Why isn't this just Oliver doing stuff? That kind of thing. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they choose to deal with this little goblin man, this little menace. Going to be very interesting to look at how all the different characters' relationships develop. I don't know if Katie and Oliver is ever going to be teased as a real thing. I really think Katie and Guy are going to be the ultimate couple there. And obviously Oliver and Nano are going to be the official thing. But I wonder how much the triangle is going to get with Shella and Pete. I think that's going to be interesting to see develop there, as to how much of a chance do they actually stand, right? But I think that they've made some good progress, just all the characters in terms of their strength and their power scaling. I'm looking forward to seeing how they defeat Enrico. I don't know to what capacity they're going to do, if all next book is going to be that and we're not going to get much of Oliver's friends. I hope that we get more of a clash of Oliver's secret life as Null and his friends, because that's always fun. That's always fun. That scratches the itch, right? I'm very much looking forward to book 5. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's going to be them fighting Enrico, and I'm looking forward to that. At that point, I think there's 6 left, and so then there are only 5 left. We're getting closer, and I feel as closer we get to the end of the series, the closer we'll get to all of them dying. It's very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Oliver's actions as Null. I'm looking forward to seeing more of our main cast and how their relationships all develop. It's going to be very interesting to see how our little characters end up after the next book. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I'm thrilled. I'm starting book 5 right after this recording. After this is the next line novel review I do will be book 5, and then I think I'll move on to Mushoku Tensei, because I don't have book 6 yet. I could buy it, but we'll do objectively. Next line novel review will be Reign of the Seven Spellblades, book 5. Look forward to it. If you're this far in the video, obviously there's something you like, so make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling me what your favorite part of this volume was, because there was a lot to like in it. There really was. And like I said, next volume of light novel will be Reign of the Seven Spellblades, volume 5. I hope to see you all then. Bye-bye.